This one is painful for me to report on because if you've been following the channel for any time, you know that I am a big Star Trek fan. I really enjoy the premise of humanity just becoming great and exploring strange new worlds, getting their manifest destiny out onto the galaxy, which is what the original Trek was in a lot of ways. Of course, it changed quite a bit over the years, and the new iterations are something completely different. But this is a really scathing just condemnation of Gene Roddenberry and just how gross he was, which tracks with a lot of the stuff you'd see on set. If you don't know a lot of the unauthorized Star Trek history books and all that, said that Gene Roddenberry was really much a casting couch kind of guy, very Harvey Weinstein-esque in the way he handled things back then. And, a lot of those women in the short skirts in the 60s would get their jobs by, of course, performing for Mr. Roddenberry, according to a lot of those sources. And so it wasn't this, grand utopian vision that everybody expected. Now, the actual work on Star Trek, of course, was done by a lot of different writers with a lot of different directors and producers and involved. It's not just the work of one person. No television show is. But this is pretty interesting right here, where it gets really, really creepy, really, really fast. And I don't have much of an answer for it. I would like to be able to repudiate what I've discovered here and what has shown on the Sigma Game blog. But unfortunately, it's something very, very dark. We'll get into this in just a moment. So please hit the like and subscribe button. If you like the examples of space exploration and the like, and kind of the ethos that Star Trek really was supposed to have that it doesn't have anymore, I am writing great science fiction with a lot of that, and I think you'll really enjoy it. So this is The Stars Entwined. It all starts right here. It's called the Aritian War. Big war brewing between aliens and humanity that is, of course, upending the galaxy, causing a lot of problems. And our protagonist has to go and spy on an alien starship and bring back information towards Earth. A lot of fun to start there, and it builds really nicely over the trilogy. Hope you'll check it out. It's in the description below. It is on ebook, print, and audio. If you love science fiction, this is a great one for you. And I'm going to be doing a full-on space exploration series that's developing out of this because I wanted to take things and do it right. And so I've got that. We're about done with the trilogy right now. Sign up for my newsletter so that you stay informed with that release because this is the best science fiction I've ever written. Beautiful stuff that's coming out, great characters, great worlds, and wonderful exploration. If you like that old school sort of Trek, you're really going to be happy here. Thanks, guys, for being here. Great alternative, and we need alternatives to what Hollywood's producing out there because, this is par for the course, really, of Hollywood and an indictment of the people that get in charge in Hollywood more than anything else. Not of science fiction, I don't think, because, oh gosh, it's just quite a crazy thing we're seeing right here. So on Sigma Game, he says, I've always loathed Star Trek, I despise it in all its form in each and every medium. Something about it has struck me as incredibly creepy since the original was running in reruns before The Next Generation was produced. And that reason is Star Trek was the realization of the vision of one of the creepier gammas to ever come out of Hollywood, Gene Roddenberry. This interview with the creator of Star Trek should suffice to conclusively make the point and illustrate why gammas should always be kept far away from little girls, even if they are related to them, especially if they are related to them. Now, I watched this clip, and I don't have my setup to just play the clip, which would make it a lot easier right now if I did, but there is a transcription of here, which we can read, and it is really, really creepy. I just can't get away from this. He says he's been fortunate with family, 2 marriages, has 2 little girls, and this is the weird thing you see here. Who talks like this? Are delicious, sweet-smelling, wonderful things. Now, I have a daughter, and I would never describe my daughter as that. This is ew. I can remember they would be so clean and their hair done and their starch dresses, and this is where it gets even weirder, especially after delicious, sweet-smelling, how they would bend over. The dresses would come up, and you'd see the panties, and little girls are just totally beautiful things. And I was happy. I was lucky with my girls. Ugh. Again, as a father, can't imagine talking like this. This is really disgusting stuff right there. It's creepy, it's red flag, and it's somebody that you would keep away from your children if you heard them talking about that as well. And as it's said on Sigma Game right here, most of you have families. How many of you, if asked about your families, can ever imagine bringing up the subject of little girls bending over and exposing their underwear, let alone doing so almost right away? How many millions of possible iterations would it require for you to ever get to that particular subject? I've discussed my family many times over the years with many different people. I can attest context. No one's underwear has ever come up in any context in any of those conversations. And that happy, dreamy smile, combined with the interrupted flow of his speech as if Roddenberry is recalling one of his all-time favorite memories, it's pure nightmare fuel. And then there's more. This is from the 50-Year Mission, a comprehensive history of the Star Trek franchise. It says, Roddenberry's insecurities were apparent from the start. He fought with studios, the networks, the writers, anyone who crossed his path. This is very similar behavior, actually, from what I've seen with just kind of the way that J. Michael Straczynski is with Babylon 5. Now, he doesn't have the weird little girl stuff with it, but he does have this kind of gamma male mentality, which I did a big video on yesterday that just went over his history of just fighting with studios over the year, which if you're a Babylon 5 fan, you should check that video out. During the first year, he says, I wrote or rewrote everybody, even my best friends, because I had this idea of a mind of something that hadn't been done. I wanted to be there. Once we had enough episodes, then the writers could see where we were going, but it was really building people to write the way I wanted them to write. But no one could do that. Roddenberry never stopped rewriting. This is true. The problem, his biographer says, was he basically couldn't write well enough to carry it off. For 25 years, a script never left Roddenberry's hands without becoming worse. Yeah, it's absolutely true. Andre Richardson, an assistant to Gene Kuhn, who worked for Martin Luther King Jr. and Malcolm X, said, Gene Roddenberry was a sexist, manipulative person who disregarded women. She mentioned several examples. He would have women walking from Bill Theis's fitting rooms through to his office in the skimpiest outfits so he could perv them. In the 23rd century of Roddenberry's imagination, it's unlikely that perv is still a verb. Richardson tells the authors of the 50-Year Mission that Roddenberry was a chronic oversharer, a teller of intimate and unusual stories, divulger of quirks intended to probe the listener's interests and depravity. She recalls one story that's so dirty I can't print it on a family website like this one. Again, why are you telling me this? Richard remembers asking. But that was him, a freaky, deaky dude. So pretty weird stuff. You combine that with the weird commentary about girls' underwear and stuff like that. Yikes. Crazy stuff right there. So this is wild stuff and very interesting that you can see this right here going on with Gene Roddenberry. I'd never seen this clip before. This is the first time I've seen it, and very, very frightening stuff. It does kind of just explain just how Hollywood works in general overall. And then it was also shown about Neil Gaiman and just like some of his writing here that we know that Neil Gaiman did very similar and brought his nanny at the time into a bathtub, drew a bath for her, and then just like kind of creeped in with her after going to work for a little bit, just exposing himself fully to her when she did not ask for that. And this is similar. You could see it in his writing as well. The bathtub was a vessel of dreams, a porcelain ship adrift in the steam of possibility. Neil sank into the warm embrace. Oh, this is making fun of Neil Gaiman, but this is not Neil Gaiman's writing. But he's got some writing stuff that's very similar as well. If you look into it, in The Sandman, there's a spot where it's like the muse is getting used grossly by a writer in this sort of stuff. And I think this happens more often than not in Hollywood. Very interesting on this level. You wonder just how far some of the stuff with Star Trek went. And since that happened back in the 60s, and a lot of those women are no longer with us, we're probably not even going to get to a point where we're going to actually find out all of what happened and how bad of a Weinstein type of situation was going on with there. But this was not this like vision of beautiful humanity that's really going and adventuring, being the best they could be at all. It is just another Hollywood nightmare in the process. Really, really sad to see this from yet another creator out there. And this is quite the creepy video, if anything. It's not fire, but it is smoke enough to where I just go, huh. And this is exactly what we see in Hollywood all the time. Leave a comment down below with what you think about this, please. Hit the like and subscribe button. Of course, really appreciate you guys being there. And yeah, we're trying to change the culture. That's a lot of what we're doing here. And I'm doing so through books. I can't make TV shows or movies. That's a big budget sort of situation, but I'm glad you guys are here. Maybe we will at some point with AI. You never know. We might be able to get there sooner rather than later, but this is where we're starting right now, and I hope you'll enjoy it because I have some great stories for you, and they're not creepy or anything like that. They point towards a good humanity in the future for real. Start with The Stars Entwined. It's in the description below in ebook, print, and audio, and please get on my newsletter. Make sure to sign up for this new stuff because I've got the best science fiction coming, my friends. Leave a comment down below with what you think. We'll be back.